What's up, people? It's your boy Profection back again with the final installment of Addictions, okay? Sorry about the NoFap video, the last one. It did seem like I was a little bit stressed out in it, and to be honest with you, I saw some videos that were kind of annoying me because they were so far-fetched that it's kind of, to someone that's giving it porn, it just seems like it's just too, it's like, wow, like, do I really need to stop all of these things and do all of that? And am I seriously going to end up looking like Dwayne The Rock Johnson kind of thing after NoFap? How, that's a lot of work kind of thing. And the reality of it is, it isn't that much work. So I was kind of a bit teed off about it, and it did kind of come across that way. Sorry if it was like a little bit too negative, the last one. Alright, so let's get into this addictions video anyway. So this is probably about the third or fourth take, because it's hard to kind of figure out how to kind of word this. I've only got 14 minutes left, so let's get into it. Right, so this is the addictions video, the last addiction. So there's many addictions, as you know. There's NoFap, there's food, there's not eating, anorexia, gambling, there's prostitution, there's drugs, hard drugs, soft drugs. There's all different kinds of things, there's even, as you know, like even in the world of personal training, there's people addicted to steroids, so there's addictions are all around us, really. And when in my last video, when I mentioned I'm back to normality doesn't necessarily mean my brain. It doesn't mean I'm back to being a normal person now. I'm not someone out of Pleasantville now, or what's that movie with I can't remember what it's called now. Forget about it anyway. But basically, when I say I'm back to normality, it just basically means that I'm not kind of addicted to strong kind of drugs, or I'm not addicted to strong objects or whatever around me that has a strong influence on me. I'm not addicted to anything that has a major impact or influence over me. I'm walking around with my normal emotions, my normal feelings, and I'm having to live with that. And I think that's a very important thing to start off with, is that you have to want to stop these things. You have to truly want to stop these things, okay? Otherwise you're not going to succeed. You have to say to yourself, I am determined to stop this thing, okay? You do have to have, like I've described in the addictions video, you do have to have some sort of alternative, some sort of game plan. You have to have it mapped out. You can't just kind of, similar to this video really, I can't just do a random video. I have to have it mapped out about what I'm going to say and what I'm going to do. Number 3 is you may have to change your lifestyle. Okay, some people around you may be even dragging you back as you're kind of turning your back on these things. Some people may be kind of dragging you back into those same things, so you might even end up being more isolated, more lonely, and maybe that might be what you're afraid of, isolation or loneliness. It may even go even further than that, where people are kind of persecuting you. Oh, he thinks he's better now that he's not doing this. He thinks he's better now that he's stopped. So there may be all kinds of reasons. But the reality is that you have to want to give these things up. Right. So there's 2 things that you should have gathered from the addiction video. That's the 2 most powerful things, and that's that you've never failed. Each time you may have relapsed, that you didn't fail. You came closer to succeeding. You're coming from a standpoint of someone that has an addictive personality, someone that isn't as strong as those people that can just wake up tomorrow and go, I'm stopping that, and it stops. You don't have that kind of willpower. You have no willpower. So what you're doing is you're building your willpower from scratch. Now I'm going to go into a story of what happened to me in 2016. I'm not going to use the NoFap, although the NoFap, I could use the NoFap if you wanted to, but you already know about the NoFap anyway, when it started, when it ended. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a different addiction. We're going to use the addiction of smoking. So we're going to go to the quick story of that. I started smoking marijuana at 19. It was given to me by a friend when I was depressed, and I did take it. I accept blame for that. It wasn't their fault. I'm the one that took it. Okay. People would say to me at the time, marijuana is not addictive, so don't worry, you won't become addicted to it. You won't become addicted to it. But the problem is they gave you such a small quantity of marijuana that a lot of the time people would mix it with tobacco. And if I wasn't smoking it pure, then someone would hand me a spliff sometimes when I didn't have a spliff, and it would have 90% tobacco in it, 10% marijuana. To cut a long story short, I became addicted to marijuana and tobacco at the same time. It took me 7 years for me to get off marijuana. 7 years. And then the journey from 26 to say 38 was me trying to figure out, how do I get off this tobacco. I went through all kinds of substances like electronic cigarettes. My local pharmacy about 5 years ago started giving free Nicorette products. I went through it all, started doing all of those kind of things. Cut a long story short, in 2016, December the 20th, after experimenting with a lot of things, after coming close to succeeding and learning from those things, I decided again to make another push, because the longest time I'd gone for it was 6 months. So I said, right, let's try to go for further. And 2017 came, and I'd done a full year. So I was way out of the clear. I was way out, it was behind me as far as I was concerned. But then about 3 months later, something really stressful happened with my family, and I was really stressed out. And the cravings, one thing I've try to tell people is that you will experience cravings in the beginning when you're fighting this addiction. The cravings may last for, and they're strong. I know what the cravings are like. I know what they're like. It might be, say it was porn, for example. If I'm sitting down, I may be sitting down at my computer, and all of a sudden this kind of craving to watch porn comes, and it's almost like a voice in your head, and it's scratching away at you, and it's clawing away, and it's saying, go and watch porn, go and watch porn, and you kind of have to fight it. And it's a wave. And normally in the beginning it may last for say 20 minutes, half an hour. The reason why it's important to know this is because when those waves come, when it comes, basically that kind of craving, some people believe that it's going to last forever. It doesn't last forever. It normally lasts for about 10 to 20 minutes, maybe half an hour, and then it disappears. So you have to fight that. They come in waves. And don't get me wrong, in the beginning it really is strong, and that's why you're building up your willpower. Okay, it really is strong. But eventually those waves start to dissipate until when it does come, when the cravings do come, they're not as strong as before, where they were clawing your skin. Now they're kind of tickling you, and you can say, oh, go away, crave, whatever. And it is literally like that. The cravings aren't as strong. Like the craving, like I still have porn cravings now, but they don't have that kind of strong hold on me. But I still crave porn. I still probably even crave tobacco. It's still there. But it's not nothing. It's nothing that has that tight grip on me. I remember times where it was so bad that I had to literally jump up in the middle of the night and drive down to a local gas station to buy a packet of cigarettes. It was that bad. I remember times when I was looking through the ashtray for cigarette butts so that I could make some sort of roll up out of cigarette butts that people left in the ashtray. It was that bad. It was that bad. So where we're going, yeah. So I'd gone for a year. I was stressed out by something. I'd passed a year of smoking. Clear away. It's behind me now. Something really stressed me out, and I could find myself going back to former addictions. And this particular addiction would have been smoking. So what I had was, I ran down the road, and I went back to my electronic cigarette. Don't know if you can see these here. Right. So you can see there's quite a lot of them here. This would be my lesser evil or lesser addiction. So I was really stressed out. I knew I'd either go back to I don't think I'd started in NoFap then. I don't think I started in NoFap then, but I knew I would have went back to cigarettes. So what I did is I went back to my an addiction. I went back to vaping, which I knew would have been, which I knew was an addiction basically, but is what I call a lesser addiction, a lesser evil. I went out there, I bought myself some vape juice, and I started vaping. People are like, oh, I thought you given up smoking. I said, I have given up smoking, I have. But, you know, for now I'm just going to go back to vaping. I was still going for a lot of stress at the time, so I started vaping again. It lasted for about 4 to say 5 months. And then after that, which you saw in my previous addictions video, I then went out and bought these Nicorette sprays. And I use a Nicorette spray to get me off of the vaping. Now, what point am I making with all of this? So what we're going to do is we're going to cut it down. We're going to break it down into segments so that we understand, right? So, assume that in the beginning I have whatever addiction it is. I'm doing it every day. I'm comfortably experimenting and saying, right, let me take a day off. Let me see if I can go for a day. I then go for a day. It's almost like lifting weights, really. Let me see if I can lift up 5 kg. Oh, I can lift 5 kg. All right, let me see in a couple of weeks if I can lift 20 kg. Oh, I can lift 20 kg. And then, you know, and then maybe after 2 weeks time I say, right, I'm going to go for the big one. I'm going to go for 50 kg. You know, but what we're going to do is we're going to do it more, we're going to make sense of it and say, right, I was addicted to it every day. Now I'm gonna now I've managed to cut it down to 6 days. I cut it down to 5 days. Cut it down to 4 days. Cut it down to 3 days. Cut it down to 2 days. Now I'm doing it maybe twice a week. Now I'm going to try and give this thing up. I've got my lesser evil in place. I go from the stronger addiction to a different addiction. Now, it's not for me to tell you what that addiction is, because I don't want to say to people, like, do this or do that or do this, and then you end up killing yourself, and then I'm responsible for it. You have to figure out what a safer addiction is. Some people could be going to the gym. They could class that as an addiction. There are healthy addictions out there. They're not all bad. You have to decide what that is. I've gone 6 days without blah blah blah. I've gone in for it. I've now gone for my lesser addiction. For me it was the vaping. Yes, I was vaping every 5 seconds. I was, every time my friends saw me, I literally had it in my hand like this. Some friends thought that I was some sort of a crackhead or whatever. That's fine, they can think whatever they want to think. I know where I was going with it. Those friends, by the way, were smoking, so you know, it didn't really bother me because I knew where I was going with it. So I'm doing it every 5 seconds, and yes, I was doing it for say 5 to 6 months. I was vaping that hard. But I eventually knew that once those stresses were clear, I'm then going to buy something to get me off of this vaping thing, this addiction. I want to get off this vaping thing now. And then from the vaping, I then went back to my Nicorette sprays. Now, it may not necessarily be a Nicorette spray. It could be a patch. It could be Nicorette gum. It could be whatever it is. For me, it was a Nicorette spray. I bought 6 weeks of these things. And on December of this year, December 2018, December the 30th of 2018, my Nicorette sprays officially ran out. Yeah? They ran out. So I had an issue in my life where I was really stressed out. I felt I was going to fail, and I went back to basically a safe addiction, which was the vaping at the time. And I was vaping for 4 to 5 months, and when I felt I was clear of the troubles, of the anxieties, of the stresses, I then used my Nicorette spray to get me off of the vaping. Now, if I had any kind of stress in my life now, any kind of stress, I would do the same thing. I would not go back to masturbating or fornicating. I would not go back to drinking spirits. I would not go back to any kind of hard drug, ecstasy tablets or anything like that. I would not go start gambling, things like that. Now I'm in the clear. Now, as far as I'm concerned, I've gone back to normality. So I hope you've kind of understood where I'm coming from with this. Now it's up to you to decide what is that lesser addiction. It's up to you to decide what that lesser evil is. Also, you in the beginning will have to build that tolerance to get to those 6 days, but I promise you that it will get to a point where you'll be your cravings, you'll still crave. In the beginning I'm talking about here, but it'll be manageable. It'll be manageable to the point where 4 out of the 4 days out of 7 you'll be able to stop doing whatever it is you're doing. When you can reach 6 days, take what I'm saying into account. Anyway, thank you for listening. Peace out.